You're watching the Mavpuckcast.
Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. John, how was your weekend of UNO hockey?
An exciting series, our final series of the first half of the season. December hockey is always a lot of fun, a lot of interesting festivities around the series at Baxter Arena this weekend. But before we get to the series, we've got to give a shout out to our official merchandise sponsor this season, Lawler's Custom Sportswear. I was perusing the Lawler's Custom booth, talking with owner Pat Lawler. He pointed out a new sweatshirt design that they had at the booth this weekend. So if you're doing Christmas shopping the next couple of weeks for that Mav fan in your life, you might want to check out that sweatshirt and check out the other merchandise they have at Lawler's Custom Sportswear's brick and mortar store on South 84th, or their website at lawlerscustom.com. But turning to that Friday, December 8th game against St. Cloud State, like I said, our final series of the first half of the season, our final NCHC series of the first half of the series. St. Cloud rolling into town, 6-0, undefeated in NCHC play at the top of the conference. Real great opportunity for UNO to play one of the top teams in the conference, see where they're at going into the holiday break. 12:55 into that first period. Jack Randall gets the scoring started. A nice assist by defenseman Noah Ellis.
Yeah, a really good play by Randall to get the puck to the net. And, that's something that we need to see from him more often. Certainly at the start of the season, we talked about him being a little bit snake bitten. And this team is going to struggle to score goals. So you're really looking for someone like him to bring some offense. And the last few weeks, he started to do that. So hopefully he can keep the train on the tracks with that.
Absolutely right. Hope his momentum continues going into the second half of the season. 17:27 into that first period. St. Cloud ties it up. Werner Miettinen, talented freshman that we talked about on last week's episode of the Mavpuckcast, ties the game on the power play. It's 1-1 after the first period. I thought UNO had some good opportunities that first period. Overall, I thought they played well. Jason, what did you think going into that second period?
Yeah, I think they played better the first part of that period than they did the latter part of it. And I think that shows with the power plays. They were starting to get some longer shifts. They were starting to reach, and you end up with tripping calls and holding calls and things like that when you start to do that as a team. And so can't give them power plays, and overall I thought we did a fairly good job of that. But we get snake bitten on that first one. Just, too many guys thinking too much stuff. And, unfortunately you kind of skate away from a good period tied 1-1, but we knew this going in. Like, you look at the numbers, you look at the stats, you look at these types of teams, St. Cloud plays a similar game to Omaha. So you really expected this to be kind of the whole series to be 1-goal games, a lot of, small, minute differences, and it's going to be the details as to who wins and who loses.
Absolutely right. So that second period on Friday nights, 2:38 into the second, and Jason knows I'm thrilled to talk about this goal. St. Cloud goes ahead 2-1. Fans were chirping about this one online. They're still chirping about it on Sunday morning as we're recording this episode. St. Cloud's Hall was skating down toward the UNO net. Omaha's Gavin was defending. He fell on the ice as he was skating backwards. His momentum carried him on the ice in Hall's path, causing Hall to go down. The puck is also going toward the net. Hall takes Omaha goaltender Simon Lacozy into our net, knocking the net off of its moorings. But the puck is still headed across the goal line, and then St. Cloud's Rossborough was credited with the goal. He taps the goal then into the net. I know fans were wondering about this. They were like, wait a minute, the net came off the moorings. Was that a problem? They were worried it was goaltender interference. Jason and I talked about this at length this morning, which I know Jason was thrilled to do early on a Sunday morning. We looked up the rule. The rule is Rule 26.2 in the NCAA rule book about net dislodgement. In the event that the goalpost is displaced, either deliberately or accidentally by a defending player prior to the puck crossing the goal line between the normal position of the goalposts, the referee may award a goal. In order to award the goal in this situation, the goal must have been displaced by the actions of a defending player. The puck must have been shot, or the player must be in the position to shoot at the goal prior to the goalpost being displaced, and it must be determined that the puck would have entered the net between the normal position of the goalposts. Jason, I know you're not a Supreme Court justice here, but what did you think of that?
It's mostly Simon with the momentum of the player coming into him that ends up dislodging the net. And so you got that to kind of add to it. I think, the big one I heard right off the bat was, oh, it's goaltender interference. And so I think that's the easy one to kind of put to bed is it was our player that tripped their player and their player went into the net. Like that's not, they can't make an effort, basically, is what they're going to look at like that. And it's a bang bang play. So like there's really no way that Simon's going to get, back into the play to try to make that save that quickly and stuff. And then you get into the things that are a little bit more subjective with the net dislodgement. It's clearly rising up the mooring before the puck is in the net. But at what point do you consider the net to be dislodged? Is it the moment that it, separates from the ice? Because, anyone's who played hockey or played goalie or something, that when the goalies slide over to those posts, they'll jump up a little bit every time. And so, what are you going to qualify as net dislodgement? And I think that my assumption, and again, like we never hear anything from the refs. So this is all just, looking at the video and saying, I assume that they're seeing this, and that's why they called it that way, kind of thing. But my assumption is they probably looked at it and said that the puck was across the line before the post comes completely off the mooring, and therefore, that part of the rule is irrelevant and the goal counts. And it's a sucky thing to have happen, but at the same time, like I look at it going like, how are you going to bounce back from this? These kinds of plays happen. These kinds of decisions, they happen over and over and over again. So in the course of a season, I really wanted to see UNO say like, all right, well, we got screwed on that call. Let's push back. Let's go, pedal to the metal. Let's, get that goal back quickly. And unfortunately, we just really couldn't find a footing to get it back.
Right. That was the only goal that was scored in the second period. St. Cloud leads 2-1 after two periods. Like you said, an interesting sequence of events on that goal. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I got some good video on my iPhone from section 216. So if you are watching on YouTube, you are seeing that video right now. And if you're not watching on YouTube, be sure to tune in and watch it after you listen to this. Third period, 56 seconds into the third, St. Cloud's Dylan Anhorn puts the Huskies up 3-1. That was really kind of a momentum killer right there, Jason.
Yeah, and I think that was the point that I really felt like UNO is going to struggle to get back in this. Like we said, these are two very similar teams. We certainly had opportunities on the power play, but we've talked about our power play and its inefficiency. And so that wasn't helping us at all. We certainly had our opportunities to kind of get back, but you just really felt like a 2-goal difference was just too much for Omaha to kind of find it on that Friday night. And then the empty net goal. I never really count much for empty net goals, but that's just the nail in the coffin kind of thing. And so be it what it is, it was a tight game. They played well, overall. Like I think UNO had a good showing. I think they were certainly within reach of the optimistic approach that you took last week and saying that we were going to win both. And I think that's something good to take out of that game is saying, yeah, we lost, but we played well. So let's clean a few things up. Let's do a few things different. Let's get the split on Saturday night.
As you mentioned, UNO did have opportunities to win this game, and Coach Gabinet said in the post-game presser that UNO needs to find a way to win that type of game. I felt like we were even with this team. We just didn't capitalize on some of the opportunities that we had in that game. So going into Saturday night, Jason, 5:06 into the first period. St. Cloud's Grant Ashan puts a move on Lacosi. The Huskies are up 1-0 early, but in the closing moments of that first period, Jason, in the final minute of the first period, UNO defenseman Kirby Proctor skates the puck coast to coast, putting moves on St. Cloud's Werner Miettinen as he goes, and he ties it up 1-1 for Omaha. I was honestly shocked because I was sitting there recording, watching the ice at the same time. I was shocked. These defensemen this season are taking the law into their own hands. That was a beautiful goal by Kirby Proctor.
Yeah, he can't get shown up by his D pairing over there with Mancini, right?
Absolutely. It kind of reminded me of Mancini's goal a few weeks ago in overtime that you had both liked. So, yeah, Kirby yeah.
So St. Cloud had committed 3 into the zone pretty deep early on that rush when he gets the turnover. And Bremer was last man in, and he was in the neutral zone wide open. And I'm just thinking, like, why is the first pass not up there and then, join the rush and try to be the option. So that's what I thought he was going to do. I even thought that after he crossed our blue line and thinking like, okay, he just wanted to gain some space and then he'll make the pass. He still didn't make the pass. I'm like, what is he doing? You're a defenseman. Why are you pushing the play? Like, and then he makes the good move. The defenseman for St. Cloud goes fishing for a puck, and Kirby does that just a little bit of a drag move amazingly, and fires a good shot, and it was impressive. It was fun to see. But I'm sure if he doesn't score that goal, there's probably a couple coaches on the bench that are, knocking on his helmet going, pass the dang puck.
Kirby is making the most of his limited time left at UNO as an upperclassman. The game was tied 1-1 at the end of the first period. 10:29 into the second, junior Ty Mueller puts UNO up 2-1. Ty steals the puck on that play, and the crowd rejoices. God, great goal for Ty Mueller, Jason.
Yeah, a bad angle shot that finds the back of the net, and that makes you really happy. Another unassisted goal. So, I think the real negative you take away from those are like, it's not a systems thing, it's not a play thing, it's just an individual effort. It's good. We want Mueller to have that freedom to challenge puck carriers, steal pucks, get pucks to net, and hopefully, like we talked about with Randall and stuff, he's seeing that role of being the guy that's there when it doesn't go into the back of the net, and that puck bounces out into the slot area. So
late in the second period, 17:29 into the second, SCSU's Kyler Kupka turns on the afterburners and ties it up for the Huskies. The game is tied 2-2 after the second, and that's all of the scoring that happened. But it was an entertaining third period, Jason.
Yeah, and I really felt like UNO was getting trapped a little bit. We were having some problems in the third. I was a little worried going through that third period about like, when's that late goal going to happen that is just kind of like the defleeting goal that's 3 minutes left in the game, and now UNO has to just kind of find a way. But luckily we make it all the way through regulation tied and we get some free hockey.
Ty Mueller had a nice breakaway opportunity in that third period. It's too bad he couldn't put that in the net. So 3-on-3 OT. Game was still tied 2-2 after the 3-on-3 overtime period. That means in the NCAA record books, the game goes down as a tie. But for conference purposes, in order to determine who gets the extra conference point, the game goes to a shootout. Fans always love shootouts. The only goal scored in the shootout was by Ty Mueller, and the Mavs win the extra point, so they get 2 points in the game. St. Cloud gets 1. Mavs get 2 out of 6 points on the weekend, and they go on to win the shootout. Good performance for UNO. Good way to salvage some points on this weekend. Stifle St. Cloud's winning streak in the NCHC.
The 2 points definitely, helps us. So right now you're multiple games behind Denver for that last home playoff spot. And, you're looking at Carlisle College just 1 point ahead of you. So at least we're staying in the hunt. But I want to know from you, John. So we only got to see 2 Omaha shooters in the shootout. You gotta pick for who you think would have been the third if we needed them.
I'm going to just say Kirby Proctor. I would have put him in. Put the most unlikely defenseman who had a beautiful end-to-end goal. I might throw a wrench in the engine and put somebody like Charlie Lurie in there, who hasn't got a lot of playing time this season. Just see what he can do. But congratulations to Ty Mueller for getting that goal in the shootouts. Because it was nice for fans and the players to be able to celebrate in the lobby afterwards going into the Christmas break. But I got to ask you, Jason, who is your player of the week for this series against St. Cloud State?
This was rough. I don't know how you're feeling, but there's a lot of guys that I liked on Saturday that just didn't have good Friday games. There's a few guys that I thought played okay on Friday, but then just played okay on Saturday too. So I really struggled with trying to come up with who I was gonna pick. And so I think I'm gonna go off the board. I don't know, we mentioned him too much, but I noticed Ray Fust a lot. And it's I don't think it wasn't a lot of production. He had some shots. He had some opportunities here and there. But he's just one of those guys that I just noticed his play. And I think I like that. I've heard NHL coaches talk about, the guy just plays heavy, where you kind of can't ignore the fact that he's out there. And I just kind of related that to Ray Fuss this weekend, and so I'll give him a shout out.
Like you said, he's a good, solid player for UNO. 3 goals and 4 assists on this season. So he'll definitely be a factor going into those second half games. So I like that pick, Jason. I always enjoy when you kind of pick off the board. Always makes things more interesting. I'm going to pick junior forward Ty Mueller, who had a goal in regulation and a goal in the shootout, helping UNO secure 2 of 6 points on the weekend. He has 6 goals and 6 assists this season. He leads UNO in points. He's probably the closest thing we have right now to a go-to point producer, and it'll be interesting to see how things evolve for him in the second half of the season. I was talking to Jason about how I was wondering what we were going to talk about in our Things You Missed at Baxter Arena. We had the Toys for Tots collection on Saturday. They collected toys and monetary donations. Did you guys donate to Toys for Tots, Jason?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we brought some toys for Toys for Tots. Scotland dumped them into the bin. It was also ugly sweater night on Saturday. Jason and I did not wear ugly sweaters, even though they had a design available from Lawler's Custom Sportswear. We saw
saw that around the rink quite a few times.
I did too. I saw a number of fans wearing that sweatshirt. And there were a number of fans wearing just regular ugly sweaters for the game. The cheerleaders were wearing ugly sweaters, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason,
It was, took me a while to figure out what that was. I was like, what is going on over there? I'm like, oh, it's just a cheerleader.
yeah, what are those outfits they're wearing? Jason and I, before the game, we were chatting. Well, we noticed a member of UNO's event staff was dressed like Elf. I
Running
got
around on
some,
the ice.
yep, going around checking the ice. So yeah, I got some video of that. One of the interesting things that's been going on all season long that we haven't talked about, and I've been meaning to talk about it. I've been meaning to get some video before the game on the jumbotron. They show a little slideshow of Mavs who are playing professional hockey currently around the world, and they have the hashtag Pro Mavs. I know the fans love to talk about the accomplishment of Old Bowl former UNO hockey players in the pro ranks. What do you think of having this on the boards? I like it this season, and like I said, I've been meaning to praise this effort because I think it's a good idea to show the players doing their thing in the professional ranks.
Yeah, I know you hear it, a lot like I hear it too, of, you know, what happened to this guy and where are they playing and what league is that and all that stuff. And so, I agree. I think it's great that they're standing behind that and saying like, hey, here's, look what happens when they go beyond the 4 years, 5 years that they're here in Omaha. I love the addition of expanding out what your definition of pro was, right? Like when they first started it, it was just the guys that were NHL or, NHL, AHL kind of, gapped kind of guys and stuff. And so to see some of the guys that are playing over in Europe and, playing ECHL and kind of working their way through it, especially with some of the recent grads and stuff, the Tyconics and Weiss and guys like that, like, they're not going to make the jump straight to the NHL, but give them a few years, let them develop out in an ECHL or AHL league, and who knows what happens. So yeah, I love going through it and trying to find everyone and see if I can remember bits and pieces about what they were like when they played here. And
Yeah, absolutely right. And like you mentioned, like we'll hear about the guys playing in the NHL all the time. You'll hear about, it seems like we hear about Jake Ginsel all the time. You'll hear about, yeah, the Magna brothers, but it's really cool to be able to hear about some of those guys playing in the European leagues and some of the smaller teams the Kansas City Mavericks, for example, seeing some of those guys featured. When we were up in Duluth last week, they had a wall that had a puck from every NHL team. And then underneath the pucks, they had the names of players who had played for Duluth listed under it, which I thought was a really cool wall mural. And I would love to see more of that memorabilia featured in the parts of the arena that fans see. I know they have some of that down in the locker rooms and in the hallway in front of the UNO locker room at Baxter Arena. But I love to see that stuff highlighted. I love when we go to other arenas and they have big banners for guys playing in the professional ranks. I think that that's really cool. So good job, UNO. Keep up that sort of stuff. Uh,
we talked about that though, John. Like, I think the important thing is not just for us fans of hockey where we know the players and things like that, but to have it somewhere where, people that come for a volleyball game or come for a concert or something else, like advertise your hockey by saying like, look what's out there, right? Ralston Arena does it. I play a beer league hockey there, and they have banners of some of the guys, the former Lancers that played, had long stints and stuff in the NHL. And so, it's neat for me as a hockey fan to see that, but I think like if you're going to Ralston Arena for something else and you see that, you just like their mind trips like, oh yeah, there's something else I can do, the next time we don't have plans on a Friday night or something, maybe I'll, see if there's a hockey game and go see UNO play or something. So, hopefully they can find a way to make that something that's not video based and make it something that is a marketing piece for Baxter Arena and the programs that are there.
So hopefully UNO will do more of it because Jason and I both think that it's pretty awesome to do that. But we've got a few weeks off here, Jason. The next time we'll be seeing you is for the Desert Hockey Classic that Arizona State holds at Mullet Arena. It will be January 5th and 6th. So after the new year, we play UMass Lowell in the first game. Our second opponent is to be determined. It depends on the outcome of those first round games. We'll either be playing Arizona State or we'll be playing Harvard out of the ECAC. The Riverhawks are 6-10-2 overall, 3-6-1 in Hockey East. UMass Lowell head coach Norm Bazin is 260, 155, and 41 at UMass Lowell in 13 seasons. He has led the Riverhawks to 6 NCAA tournaments. Jason, UMass Lowell has been a pretty successful program out in Hockey East the past decade plus.
I guarantee you, if you start thinking about like, are we going to have to play Arizona State or Harvard next? You're going to be playing them for the 3-4 game, not the 1-2 game.
Some players to watch. Their leading scorer is sophomore forward Scout Truman. He has 4 goals and 9 assists this season in net. 2 goalies have seen the bulk of the time. Junior Luke Pavicic, who transferred in from UMass Amherst. He has a 2.99 goals against average and a 0.896 save percentage in 8 games this season. And then UMass Lowell senior Henry Welsh has a 2.02 goals against average and a 0.928 save percentage in 12 games this season. Jason, it's kind of weird doing a prediction for a single game, but we will be out in Arizona for that series, so we'll definitely be doing some updates on the road. What do you think about UNO's chances against UMass Lowell?
I don't expect a blowout or something, but I think UNO will win. You look at UMass, they play a lot of close games. They haven't really been blown out, and they don't really blow out teams. I think there's a couple exceptions in there. I know they lost pretty big to Boston and then the second game of that series, I think. But they play them really close in the first game kind of thing. And you'll see that a lot with this team. And so when you're in a format here where you don't get to see them again, and you got to go out and perform on that first night. I hope that our experience, the battle tested that we've been having gone through some NCHC games, but also, a non-conference schedule that included Ohio State. I'm hoping that experience carries us through and gets us over the mark with UMass Lowell.
I think we get the win. We have a chance to get some guys back who we've been missing lately. We did not have Matt Miller for the series against St. Cloud this weekend. And I think ultimately we missed the veteran forward in the lineup. In addition, a player that I've been impressed with, and I was impressed with early on this season, Zach Erdahl, who transferred from Wisconsin. He's been out for a while now. And I'm hoping they get him back because he really seems to be a player who provides a spark offensively. So I think some time to rest, some time to visit family over the holidays will do the team good. So I think we'll come out fired up on that game against UMass Lowell, and I think we'll get the win. I should say for the fans who are headed out to the Desert Hockey Classic, UNO Assistant Athletic Director in charge of development, Brock Wismiller, was talking with us after the game on Saturday against St. Cloud. Fans are invited for a team send-off at the team hotel before the Friday game against UMass Lowell. We do not have specific details on that yet, so be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, etc. And we will have details as we get closer to that game. There will also be a UNO alumni event, Mavs on the Move. Jason and I talked about the most recent Mavs on the Move event a couple weeks ago when we were out in Denver for that DU series and how much fun it was. So they will be having one in Arizona Friday, January 5th at a place called Society on 920 East University Drive in Tempe. They will be holding that from 5:30 to 9 p.m. $15 per person. The Mavs on the Move event will feature UNO Athletic Director Adrian Dowell and UNO Chancellor Joanne Lee, who will be in attendance addressing attendees. It includes heavy hors d'oeuvres and a hosted bar, and you must be 21 plus to attend. And you
Looking forward to it.
Yep. And you can find out details on that at unoalumni.org/Mavs on the Move. So it should be a fun time out there. As I said, Jason, Bridget, and I will be in attendance. So we will be doing updates, and we're looking forward to seeing lots of UNO fans out there. So, Jason, until next time, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.